Hello, everybody. Welcome yet to another video with the accounting professor. And today we're going to be talking about what accounting classes should I be taking to prepare for reg or regulation. This is part 2 in my series. I just covered FAR, and now we're going to be looking at reg. My disclaimer and copyright notice is that the information and opinions in this presentation are those of myself and not my employers or affiliated organizations, including but not limited to Irvine Valley College and the South Orange County's Community College District. Presentation is for educational purposes only and does not constitute any legal or accounting advice whatsoever. Please note that the California Board of Accountancy makes the final determination as to whether or not a class meets the educational requirements. So a few other things here when it comes to what I'm going to be showing you today is I do have an agreement with UWorld CPA review, and I will be sharing that discount code soon. But when I go through and having like this relationship with UWorld CPA review, if people use the code and buy it, I do not get paid. Rather, what I'm going to get, I'm going to get CPA review courses to give away, which I'm hopefully to do if a certain number of those are sold. So that is my relationship with UWorld. But I will say this, it does not matter what my relationship is. The most important thing is for you is that you have to choose a CPA review class that is best for you. It's not about me, it's about you. Ninja, Becker, Gleim, Surgeon, UWorld, whatever works best for you. And the way you're going to find that out is you got to try before you buy. Make sure it's right for you. Spend the time going through the different sections. People have passed with all of them. It's really going to be a lot about your success on the CPA exam is really going to, a lot of it's going to be depending upon you. So let's take a look at the CPA exam. This is, we're now going down over here into regulation or into reg. And right over here for regulations, it's one of the required parts of the CPA exam. And let's go ahead and go to UWorld CPA review and kind of go through and maybe discover a little bit more about what this is all about. So if I come over here to UWorld and I go down over here to reg, I'm going to go ahead and launch regulation. When I open up regulation, okay, and this is really over here, I'm going to look at the lectures. Remember, why am I doing this? I am working backwards with you. I always like to say if I'm going to pass the exam, right, and if I'm trying to figure out what classes I need to take, what's covered on the test? Maybe I should take classes that are in there, basically in that area. So when I go through and look at this, we see right over here, the introduction, ethics and responsibilities in tax practice, licensing and disciplinary systems, federal tax procedures. Now, when we get over here, basically legal duties and responsibilities, we've got agency, contracts, debtor-creditor relationships. These are generally going to be covered in a business law class, right? However, if you didn't learn it well in a business law class or legal environment of business or whatever they're calling it today at different places, what you need to remember is you can come here to the CPA review and learn it that way. Coming over here, basically, we've got federal laws and regulations, business structure, different type of entities going on over here. And now we're getting into basically the questions of basically right over here, individual income tax, looking at asset basis questions, cost recovery, gross income, reporting of items from pass-through entities like on Schedule K1s, AGI and taxable income adjustments, loss limitations, filing status, and then we're getting in here into business taxation. Now, tax exempt awards is something that is usually going to be covered in a different class, but generally, if you've taken a business law class, a individual income tax class, as well as a business taxation class, those are going to possibly give you the best preparation to prepare for reg. What I will also say about this, about taxation, and this is also really important, and this is going to kind of go into one of the optional parts. When I was at UC Santa Barbara, I had this instructor and his name was John Trawler. And if any of you out there know him or, he's no longer with us, but the dude it was insane. He would sit up there with an internal revenue code in the front of the lecture and just read from the code, which was absolutely crazy. But I didn't appreciate him at the time, but he was a very good instructor. I got my CPA license. I then went to law school. And when I was in law school, I took 7 tax classes. Why did I take 7? I needed to boost up my GPA because my constitutional law grade was really, really terrible. So I needed GPA boosters, and those classes, boy, oh boy, did those classes help me out. So when I was going through, though, and taking those classes, it was really kind of like textbook learning. At Irvine Valley, we have instructors, one specifically is a gentleman by the name of Stephen Grinberg, who worked with the IRS for many, many years. I have observed his classroom once, and I was astounded by what he was able to do. He was essentially using tax forms to teach tax law, which, if you think about it, is pretty genius, because one of the hardest things about taxation is that you really can't, as a lower division student, it's really hard to understand until you start practicing it. Michelle Yamakawa, who's going to be our other tax instructor for Accounting 206A, she has a lot of experience in tax, and I know she's going to do an amazing job for us this spring 2026 semester. No pressure. But when you're going through and doing tax, you're going to be learning a lot more of it on the job, because that's really where the experience comes through and does it. You just have to sit down and do it, spend the time with it, and that's what happens. But for REG and for TCP, when I have spoken with tax professionals, what many of them say is that those sections are easier for them once they have gone through and have started practicing. So one kind of thing is, when it comes to FAR, you generally want to get that out of the way prior to starting at your firm or whatever it may be. But if you are in your firm and you're working in tax, then this is really going to be helpful. But remember, when you're going through and learning taxation, if you don't learn something basically over here, I'm really curious to see that they have teaching this.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Keith Donnelly.
Okay, so basically at UWorld, they're going to have like different instructors going through and teaching you. But again, it's when you go through and you're learning these different things. If you didn't learn it in your undergraduate course, it's going to be tough. Now, one of the things I want to say about individual, when you're going through and taking these individual and business taxation courses, is that ideally, with any accounting course, you want to try to take it in person. We know, though, that that is very, very tough to do because of lives and everything else. The other extreme, and I said this for intermediate accounting, is a class that is asynchronous, meaning that there is no live instructor interaction. You're doing things on your own. That can work for some people. However, what I see, and again at Irvine Valley, we have basically Zoom meetings where the faculty will be there. They will go through what is being covered, and those Zoom meetings, at least to me, are by far significantly more effective because it allows that interaction. And that's really what you want, because these are not easy subjects. Taxation is something that's really, really different. If you haven't done it before, it can seem to be overwhelming. But again, if you're taking it in a live environment, you're able to ask those questions, you're going to be in a much better position. So with that all being said, I want to thank you for being here today. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to see any other videos, please feel free to send me a message to ivc30tocpa@gmail.com. If you are taking the CPA exam in California and you need me to assess your units, please feel free to reach out to me. I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and have a great day. Have a good one.